Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Zysol is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Zysol keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all, take Zysol. At night.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Welcome back, True Crime Army. I am your host, Margot, and this is Military Murder, a show where I focus on crimes committed by military members and veterans. But don't worry, you don't have to know anything about the military to listen, I promise. You just have to be a true crime enthusiast. And if that's you, welcome home. Instead of calling this show Military Murder, I really should have called this show Unusual Suspects, because that's really what I was trying to get at when I came up with the concept of grouping our community together. Once you join the military family, it's really hard to get out. Even once you're out, you tend to lean towards and feel closer to veterans or other military families. Well, today's case involves a retiree who people thought could never hurt a fly. But investigators learned he was capable of murder. And since it's the month of love, I wanted to bring you a case about obsession that went too far. This is an ongoing case, so my usual disclaimer. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Join me today as I tell you the story of the disappearance of Cari Allen out of Omaha, Nebraska. Now, let's dig in.
Military murder is an independent project and is not endorsed by the Department of Defense or any military component. The views expressed are those of the host. The content of this podcast is not meant to be legal or medical advice. Warning, this episode contains graphic details of murder and is not suitable for young listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
43-year-old Cari Allen was a humble spitfire who brought laughter and humility to any situation. All of her friends and family called her the ultimate hype girl, always making sure that everyone was cared for, offering wise words of guidance, and just an overall good human. She was the type that lived her life for others. She graduated from Buena Vista University with a degree in human services, and then worked for a company called Vodec, a non-profit organization, and she worked there for 14 years. Vodec is a company that provides services for people with disabilities, including offering day programs, employment training, and residential options. During her tenure with the company, Cari didn't want to stop learning and growing, and she went on to earn her MBA. So it is evident that Cari was a woman on a mission to not only provide for her child, but to help others in need. By late 2022, Cari had just gotten out of a 1-year relationship. She was a single mom, but the weekend before Thanksgiving, her son was spending time at her father's house, so Cari decided to go on a date. Her car was in the shop, so according to the Journal-Star, Cari drove her son's 2010 Ford Fusion to the bar to meet her date. Cari was living in Omaha, Nebraska. She met up with her date at the Good Life Bar near 180th and Pacific Streets. The date appeared to go well. Cari told a friend later that the date was fine and they had no issues. Cari left the Good Life Bar at around 11:30 p.m. Cari had to work the following day, so that's probably why she called it an early night, although honestly, 11:30 p.m. is pretty late for my own standards now. Cari's date walked her to her car and they parted ways. At around midnight, the man who she went on a date with texted Cari to let her know he arrived home safely. Cari responded telling him thank you for the food and drinks. An hour later, the man texted Cari again, but this time she didn't respond. He may have assumed since it was close to 1 o'clock in the morning that maybe she fell asleep already. All appeared fine, but the thing was, it wasn't fine. The next day, after failing to report for work as an in-home caregiver, Cari's son and ex-husband attempted to make contact with Cari, but to no avail. By 6:15 p.m. on the evening of November 20th, 2022, Cari's son and her ex-husband reported Cari missing. Authorities immediately started the missing person search for Cari. When they went to her house, they noted that Cari's son's car was still in the garage. But when they looked inside the vehicle, the trunk's liner was missing. Also, a few of the walls in the house appeared to have been patched up because the patch jobs hadn't been painted over, so they were clearly obvious to the officers. Police at this point were very concerned. They learned more about Cari, and through her friends and family, they learned that just 2 weeks prior to her disappearance, Cari had ended a year-long relationship with an Army retiree by the name of Aldrick Scott. In speaking to one of Cari's friends, they learned that the night of the date, Cari confided in her friend that Aldrick kept texting her nonstop during her date. Cari was so annoyed at one point that she planned on shutting her phone off to make the harassment stop. When authorities pinged Cari's phone, they noted that the last time it pinged was off a cell tower near 156th Street and West Cape Road, and that ping was at about 2:30 a.m. But they noted that soon after that, Cari's phone was turned off. Investigators were clearly interested in talking to 47-year-old Aldrick Scott. He lived in Kansas, about a 3-hour drive from Cari's house, so it was possible he had a solid alibi, but you can never be too sure. When investigators reached out to Aldrick, he told investigators that he and Cari were still dating and had recently celebrated their 1-year anniversary. Now, this came as an immediate red flag and as a shock to the police, since all of Cari's family had told detectives that they were broken up and that recently Aldrick had seemed to show up to where Cari was unannounced. Aldrick did admit that he felt that Cari was cheating on him and may have gone on a date the night she went missing. He then sent the detectives screenshots of text messages that he and Cari had exchanged the evening of November 19th. The text messages were sent as late as 11:35 p.m., a little after Cari left the bar. When authorities pinged Aldrick's phone on the night of Cari's disappearance, guess what? It pinged in Omaha, Nebraska, exactly where Cari lived. In fact, the phone records showed that Aldrick was in the vicinity of the Good Life bar where Cari had been enjoying her date that evening. Except Aldrick left the bar area an hour prior to Cari leaving the bar. Then, when authorities canvassed Cari's neighborhood, they found surveillance video that showed Aldrick driving in Cari's neighborhood and then walking towards her house. Surveillance video also showed Cari arriving to her house that evening. But you know what it didn't show? It never showed Cari leaving her house. Although it did show Cari's son's car leaving the garage at roughly 2:48 a.m. and then returning at about 3:04 a.m. 20 minutes or so later, a man was seen running from Cari's house towards the location where Aldrick's car had been parked. Authorities immediately wanted to do a face-to-face with Aldrick in his home in Topeka, Kansas. And while the investigators were on their way, a call came into Topeka's 911 call center. It was someone who was claiming that Aldrick Scott told them he killed his girlfriend. It was later determined that the 911 caller was a deputy who got the information from his friend named only as Angie from Texas, who got a call directly from Aldrick Scott. As reported by KETV, Aldrick Scott called Angie, one of his old military buddies, and he told her that he had gotten into an argument with Cari Allen. They were throwing things, and now Cari was dead. At some point, the call ended, so Angie called her cop buddy and had him on three-way when Aldrick returned the call. During that call, Aldrick was trying to get Angie to set him up with someone in the country of Colombia because he was skipping town. It was that deputy who then called it in to 911. At some point, authorities had information that Aldrick Scott had purchased a ticket from LAX to Fiji. So, authorities set up at LAX waiting to arrest Aldrick. But he never showed up. Instead, they learned that when Aldrick contacted his veteran buddy Angie, He was already out of the country in a hotel in Cancun, Mexico. Flight records would later reveal that Aldrick flew from Houston, Texas to Cancun on November 21st, the day after Cari had been reported missing. Authorities then found Aldrick's 2018 Chevrolet Equinox at the Kansas City International Airport. Inside the Equinox, authorities found a 9mm semi-automatic handgun loaded with bullets. The gun was actually located in a handgun case hidden inside the spare tire compartment. In the car, they also found gloves, a crowbar, and a sledgehammer. One of the things they noted when they found Aldrick's car was that it was equipped with OnStar. OnStar is a product installed in some cars that acts like a computer. It can provide you with navigation, roadside assistance, emergency services. In fact, I once owned a vehicle with OnStar, and one of the benefits that I recall it having was that if you were ever in an accident, an operator would connect to inside your vehicle and assist with voice commands while emergency services arrived. Another thing that OnStar does is that it tracks the movement of your car, even if it's not turned on, so it knows where you drove even without turning on navigation. While authorities waited to get information from Aldrick's OnStar account, authorities searched the area surrounding Cari's house, thinking that if she was abducted and killed, her body could have been buried near her house. But days and days went by, and they didn't find Cari. Meanwhile, authorities had spent 11 hours executing a search warrant at Aldrick's house in Kansas. And then, in early December 2022, after an arrest warrant had been issued for Aldrick's arrest, the charge was initially kidnapping, the tip line got a call from someone in Belize. They had been unknowingly harboring Aldrick Scott. The caller was a Belize local by the name of Shelton. Aldrick had been hiding out with him on an island in Belize. Shelton said that he met Aldrick and allowed him to stay at his home for about 4 days, feeding him and giving the man clothes. Aldrick told Shelton that his name was Nelson. Shelton must have felt something was off because he went online to look up Nelson's information. And that's when he realized that Nelson was really 47-year-old Aldrick Scott, who was wanted in the U.S. in connection with a woman's disappearance. I read in one small news article that Shelton did confront Aldrick about what he found, and that Aldrick confessed to the man and then asked him to turn him in. But I don't know the accuracy of that, as I saw another news report where Shelton said that he felt he should be compensated for turning this guy in. I did learn, however, that on December 6, Aldrick was arrested in Belize. He was then extradited back to the U.S. Through this investigation, authorities learned that while Aldrick Scott was in Belize, he had looked up information about Cari Allen's investigation and had even Googled himself to see where they were at in the investigation. In addition to these searches, he looked up extradition laws in Belize. I mean, that's pretty shady if you ask me, but, innocent until proven guilty. By this point, Cari Allen was still a missing person. Today's episode is sponsored by Acorns, and April is Financial Literacy Month, an entire month dedicated to taking control of your money. Because honestly, no one really taught me how to manage money growing up. I didn't learn about investing until I was well into adulthood. But what I love about Acorns is that it makes it easy to start saving and investing for your future in just 5 minutes. I know, April is an entire month, but you don't need an entire month to learn. You don't need to be an expert. Acorns recommends a diversified portfolio that matches you and your goals. You can start with just your spare change, and you don't need a lot of time. Setup takes just 5 minutes because I know that your time is precious. And if financial wellness has ever felt out of reach, Acorns makes it simple, giving your money a chance to grow without the overwhelm. Personally, using Acorns gave me the confidence to stop putting it off and just start. And that peace of mind is completely worth it. Sign up now and join over 14 million all-time customers who've already saved and invested over $25 billion with a B dollars with Acorns. Head to acorns.com/militarymama or download the Acorns app to get started today. Paid non-client endorsement. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/militarymama.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Haley Gray helped me with my research into this guy, and we had been looking at this case when it was unfolding back in 2022. And thankfully, Haley found a blog by none other than Aldrick Scott himself. The blog has officially been taken down as of 2024, but this is the information we gathered from it about Aldrick Scott back in the day. Sharing it here because, of course, as a military retiree, he used his blog to brag about his time in the military. Aldrick Scott was born in January of 1975 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. After graduating from high school in 1993, he immediately joined the Marine Corps. He served in the Marines for approximately 11 years as an embarkation specialist, and then as a platoon sergeant for 30 Devil Dogs. In 2003, Aldrick served a tour in Iraq. In June of 2015, Aldrick transferred from the Marine Corps into the Army, where he began serving as a water purification specialist. By the way, his blog post never indicated why he transferred or if there was a break in service, but he just says that he served in both the Marine Corps and the Army. As Aldrick indicated on his blog, as a water purification specialist, he was responsible for transporting and decontaminating water from all different sources in order to make the water potable. His personal achievements, according to him, were receiving an air assault badge while stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, leading the air assault prep course for the 526 BSB 2nd BDE 101st Airborne Division. In that position, Aldrick prepped 300 soldiers for their upcoming air assault slots. I mean, his website basically reads like a citation. Aldrick deployed to Iraq 6 times. He received the Combat Action Badge during his first deployment. At some point, Aldrick was stationed at Fort Riley in Kansas, and there he received his Level 3 certification for Modern Army Combatives. He became the battalion's combative instructor and was even the SHARP representative. Now, SHARP stands for Sexual Assault and Rape Prevention Rep, and he was the SHARP rep for the 101st BSB. After completing 20 years of active military service, combined Marine and Army time, Aldrick retired from the military. He settled in Topeka, Kansas, where he started working as a graphic designer. Eventually, he obtained a Bachelor of Fine Arts and graduated with honors from Washburn University in Kansas. As for extracurriculars, Aldrick practiced Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Don't DM me if I said that wrong. Aldrick Scott was a father of 4 kids. He had 2 kids with his ex-wife, who I will call T. They had been together for a decade, but eventually divorced. T told WOWT that on paper, Aldrick looked like an amazing guy. Retired military, family man, charismatic. But according to her, behind closed doors, he was a completely different person and always needed to be in control. In addition to control, T shared that Aldrick was emotionally and physically abusive. In fact, in 2016, he had been charged with misdemeanor battery against his wife, but when she filed for a protective order, the judge denied it. In 2019, the misdemeanor battery charge was dismissed after Aldrick went through with a diversion program. And the thing about Aldrick was that he didn't keep his demons under wraps. One of his old military buddies told 3 News Now that Aldrick was very professional, very nice guy, always cracking jokes. But when it came to his wife, he was deceptive and showed explosive anger, turning to physical violence at the drop of a hat. After Aldrick's arrest, T, Aldrick's ex-wife, told WOWT, quote, "My daughter has been to Cari Allen's house a couple of times. She actually said Cari was really into Aldrick. They were in love, but Aldrick thought she was cheating. She had a date that night with someone else. I wish he would say what happened to her. He's going to be as contrary as possible," end quote. But while Cari's body had not yet been found, a month after she went missing, her body was found. While looking at Aldrick Scott's OnStar information, they were able to track Aldrick Scott's drive on the night Cari went missing. And what investigators decided to do was hone in on any areas from Cari's house to Aldrick's house where he may have stopped for longer than just a few minutes. And sure enough, on the drive from Nebraska to Kansas, there was one spot in particular along Highway 75 where Aldrick stopped for over an hour. And on December 21st, 2022, investigators found Cari's body near Highway 75 and 57th Street in Topeka. Her body had been buried near the only farm property with a barn and a house. The location was right off of the highway. The farmhouse was surrounded by industrial buildings. But for the OnStar evidence, they may very well have never found Cari's body. After Cari's body was discovered, Scott was charged with first-degree murder, use of a firearm to commit a felony, and tampering with physical evidence. An autopsy of Cari's body would reveal she was shot in the chest. From my research, the state's case against Aldrick is as follows. They believe that Aldrick Scott couldn't get over Cari Allen, especially since he thought she had been cheating on him. 2 weeks after the breakup, Aldrick stalked Cari while she was on her date, and then an hour before she left the bar, he drove to her house and entered the home. Now, this is scary because remember, Cari had told her friend that he had been texting her nonstop. So it appears that he was watching her while she was checking the text messages. So you have to wonder, like, did the date notice that she had been checking her phone messages? And also, was Aldrick even more upset that he wasn't getting a bigger rise out of the text messages that were being exchanged? And those text messages have never been revealed. Also, I should note that missing from Cari's house was her cell phone and a computer, but more on this later. So at this point, Aldrick had been lying in wait at Cari's home. Once Cari arrived home, Aldrick is believed to have ambushed Cari, shooting her in the chest, the bullet going through 2 walls. And this occurred on the 2nd floor of her house. Aldrick then bandaged up the bullet hole, not to save Cari's life, but to prevent her from bleeding all over the place. He then took her to the 1st floor where he placed her in the trunk of her son's car, which was in the garage. He then drove from the house to his parked car nearby. Then Aldrick transferred Cari's body from her son's car to his car, taking the trunk liner with him. After the transfer, Aldrick returned to the house to return the vehicle. It's unclear at what point, but Aldrick also appeared to have patched the bullet holes that went through the wall. And he probably did it at this point because he spent about 20 minutes in the house. Now, the whole patch job was shoddy, but I guess a bullet hole would be more suspicious than a shoddy patch job. That's probably what Aldrick was thinking. From there, Aldrick is seen on surveillance video sprinting from Cari's house to his car. From Cari's house, it is presumed that Aldrick took her cell phone and computer as well as a shovel that was in the garage. On the drive, Aldrick disposed of something in a dumpster. Then he drove to the dumping location where he dug a shallow grave and dumped Cari's body. From there, he returned to his house where he booked his Fiji flight, but then booked another flight to Mexico. It's unclear if he did it this way to throw off investigators. The thing is that Aldrick was on his way out of the country by the time authorities came looking for him. Aldrick first arrived in Mexico, and it's unclear by what means he may have made his way to Belize, but that's where he was when he began to crash with Shelton, and Shelton even gave him a job working at his barbecue joint. So Aldrick already had a job, already had a place to stay, had people feeding him and clothing him, so he definitely had planned to be gone for a long time. There hadn't been much of any movement with Aldrick's case in 2023, and then in early 2024, I found an update. On Thursday, January 11th, 2024, Aldrick and his attorney were back in court for an appearance where Aldrick's attorney argued to exclude evidence in the trial. His attorney specifically claimed that Aldrick's arrest in Belize was unlawful and the evidence obtained after his arrest should be thrown out. Specifically, he claimed that after his detainment in Belize, there should have been a court hearing instead of a direct extradition. WOWT reported that in response, the Douglas County attorney Don Klein argued that the arrest was not unlawful because Belize was kicking Aldrick out of the country because he had snuck in. The attorneys were scheduled to file their response briefs, and as of this recording, I didn't find the judge's ruling online.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs, but luckily there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
While getting ready to end this episode, or at least wrap it up for now, I came across Cari's online obituary, and I wanted to read it to you in its entirety because it just goes to show that her life was tragically cut short due to a selfish man, allegedly, that likely felt that if he couldn't have her, no one could. But despite all of this, Cari's memory lives on, especially through her son. The obituary reads, quote, Cari Allen Kesterson, a devoted mother and caregiver, was killed on November 19, 2022, at the age of 43 in Omaha. Cari is survived by her parents, her son, Brennan Allen, sister, Amy Kesterson Ladwig, and many nieces and nephews, aunts, and uncles. She is predeceased by her maternal grandparents, Burl and Phyllis Elliott, and paternal grandparents, Floyd and Connie Kesterson. Cari was born in Cherokee, Iowa, on February 27, 1979, to Ronald and Julie Kesterson. She graduated from Denison High School in 1997. After graduating high school, Cari earned her associate's degree from Iowa Western Community College in 1999, and then her bachelor's degree in psychology and human services from Buena Vista University in 2001. During college, Cari started working at REM, Iowa, where she would find her calling in life to serve individuals with special needs who were unable to care for and advocate for themselves. In 2003, Cari, while working for Vodek, helped open and run the ELM program for 11 years. Always wanting to challenge herself, Cari enrolled at the University of Phoenix and obtained her MBA in 2012. Cari continued to care for those with special needs by serving as an extended family home provider for individuals up until her death. Cari was united in marriage to Brett Allen in Omaha, Nebraska on July 24, 2004. On July 10, 2007, Cari gave birth to her son, Brennan Allen. Cari's entire world revolved around her son. There was nothing more she enjoyed doing in life than spending time with Brennan. Cari would never miss an event or activity that Brennan was in. Always a planner, she would look at her schedule months in advance to make sure that she could rearrange anything that would be preventing her from being there for Brennan. Without a doubt, though, her favorite times were the vacations that she was able to take with Brennan. Whether it was ziplining in Costa Rica, driving ATVs in the Dominican Republic, or hand-feeding alligators in Florida, Cari loved each and every moment with her son, end quote. All right, everyone. I had been thinking about Cari Allen for a very long time, especially since she had been missing, and then when she was found a month later. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to cover the case last year, but I wanted to bring it to you now because I think it's interesting that this case is not really aired, or you don't really hear too much information about this. And also, it's not every day that you hear about a military retiree committing such a heinous crime. All right, everyone, be sure to follow my social media accounts where I will keep you updated on Aldrick Scott's trial. As of right now, I have not seen a date, but I am sure it is coming very soon. You can follow me on Instagram at Military Murder Podcast and on TikTok at Military Margot with a T at the end. This episode was researched in part by Haley Gray. My sources for today's episode included articles from WIBW, Omaha.com, 1011now.com, AldrickScott.com, KTIV, KETV, 3 News Now, GoFundMe, Journal Star, and an obituary I found on HeFiHeFi.com. Military Murder is a Mama Margot production. This episode was executive produced by Myrtle, Jen, Tina, Falcon 13, and Nicole. Our newest Patreon assistant producers are Jacqueline and Amber. If you want to become a Patreon producer today, please visit patreon.com/militarymurder. The music was created by Ty-Ops. Until next time, remember, you never really know what someone is capable of, so remain vigilant always. You have a fabulous week, and I'll keep digging to bring you another military murder story next week.
Mama's working on her podcast. I don't want to.